asked that before. Hi, welcome to the podcast. Unusual Suspects version. That was the weirdest intro. 176 episodes, probably no more after today. Joining me, we have a great panel of unusual suspects. We have Viva Frei, we have Connor Walcott, and we have Humberto, whose last name we can't give out on the air. Big show in store for you today. Some of the topics we're going to be getting into. After 5 years, the January 6th pipe bomber has finally been caught. New disturbing images from Epstein Island. Are they new? According to the media, they are. Connor has dug in and found out that they are not, but we will go through them nonetheless. Turning Point USA has thrown down the gauntlet at Candace Owens in a challenge that may break the internet if they actually find a way to do the collaboration that Candace accepted. We will get to those stories and more, but first, if you have not already done so, I don't know if you can pull this up quickly, Connor. I'm sorry to throw you on the spot, but check out this sweet sweatshirt. You can get it online, vtmerch.com, the Angry Patriot Collection, available at vtmerch.com. The holiday season right around the corner. If you continue to watch the news, you continue to get angry, but you continue to love this country, then this line of merch is for you. The Angry Patriot Collections. I know we have shirts, we have hats, we have t-shirts, everything available at vtmerch.com. I believe if you go to the collections section, there should be an Angry Patriot Collection, but all of it available at vtmerch.com. So get your Angry Patriot gear there. And, of course, make sure you connect with all of the guys that are on the show. Are you on Minect?
I am not on Minect. I'm on Locals.
You're on Locals. You can find Viva Frei on Locals. Connor and Humberto also on Minect. Their links will be in the description for today's episode. Let's jump right in. This is breaking news. Came out this morning. After 5 years, the suspect allegedly in the January 6th pipe bombing that never went off, has been arrested. I saw the story come down at like 8:30 this morning. Authorities have arrested a suspect in the January 5th, 2021 pipe bombing case. It took place on the Capitol. Two viable explosive devices were placed overnight outside of both the Democratic and the Republican National Committee headquarters in Washington. The bombs were discovered the morning of January 6th, just before the riot at the Capitol. Surveillance video captured a person in a dark SUV planting said bombs. That footage has now led to an arrest after 5 years. The FBI, in coordination with the CIA, have studied forensic evidence and public tips to identify the suspect. We have the name of the suspect taken into custody. We will give you that name in just a minute. A reward of up to $500,000 was originally offered. I would think that reward would have been higher, considering the actual threat that this crime could have had or the damage that it could have done. The suspect now in federal custody. Charges are expected soon. Viva, what do you know right now about the pipe bombing suspect?
If we can bring up the headline from the New York Times just so that people can appreciate how to read critically, where it says suspect arrested in inquiry into pipe bombs, not the suspected pipe bomber planter himself. CBS News was reporting man arrested, or they didn't say man, but suspect arrested in connection with. My question is, in connection with, what does that mean? Does that mean that they were part of some conspiracy to build the bomb? Does it mean that that was the guy that we see on video actually planting it? People are telling me from the inside, or at least people who are closer to the inside than me, that it's the suspect is the individual who is alleged to have planted it. We shall see. When you mentioned the 5-year time frame, it's very relevant because as of January 7, 2026, much of these charges, unless they're terrorist-related, and even then would be barred by the statute of limitations for prosecution. And so this was, we're coming up on the 5-year statute of limitations, but to me, the more interesting time frame is not the 5 years, because everybody's been complaining about this for 4 years and 9 months. This arrest, or this announcement, comes a month after Steve Baker's article in The Blaze, positing who he identified via gate analysis would have been the potential suspected pipe bomber. And that seems to be the impetus, or at least it coincides to a great degree of timeliness with this release from the FBI.
How much worse could that day have been had these two pipe bombs gone off? They were planted, according to reports, planted at 7:30 and 8:30 the night of January 5th, the day before the Capitol riot. Things looked out of control from all of the footage that I've seen. Just imagine how much worse that day could have been had these devices gone off.
But that's the thing, Rob. They never were going to. Because while they were allegedly, according to what we've been told, operable bombs, they were on kitchen timers, which means they could have been set for a maximum of 60 minutes, which means if they were planted the night before, there was no chance they were going to be detonated.
So they would have went off at 8:30 and 9:30 respectively.
Yes.
At a max.
At a max, because they're just the little wind-up egg timers that will, at maximum, 60 minutes. So for someone to plant them the night before, only for them to be discovered the morning of, really shows that there was never an intent for them to be detonated, which raises all sorts of questions, because Kamala Harris was at the DNC the morning of January 6th. Her security team did a sweep of the area and apparently didn't find the bomb in a trash can that was feet away from her, which raises questions of either, was her security team incompetent? Did they deliberately overlook the bomb? Or did they put it there on purpose so that she could have this whole story years later about, oh, I was in fear for my life, inches away from a bomb that never had a chance of going off.
They were discovered at 1:07 p.m. January 6th. This was the one by the Democratic National Committee headquarters, discovered 1:07 p.m. in the afternoon on January 6th. The RNC bomb was actually discovered just a little bit before that, 12:40 to 12:50 p.m. by Capitol Police on the day of the Capitol insurrection.
And of course, the DNC bomb was the one that the media talked about because they wanted to make it sound like radical Proud Boy pro-Trump operatives were trying to bomb the DNC. They didn't really hype up the RNC one until much later, because then it shows someone was targeting both political parties if this was actually a legitimate attack. And all signs point to it was not.
And
No.
according to you, Viva, you're correct. Under 18 U.S. Constitution 3282A, the default statute of limitations for most non-capital federal crimes, including violations of federal explosives laws, such as unlawful possession, transport, or placement of explosive devices, is 5 years from the offense date. So you were right. It's less than 30 days away.
It's the United States Code, and I think the only exception is for
US
actual
code, you're right, sorry.
actual terrorism that results in bodily harm, which this did not. To Connor's point, there was some argument, some hypothesizing that the bombs might have been picked up and replaced later the next day to explain away how security allegedly missed them. But the funny thing is, like, it's a weird thing that Kamala Harris did not raise this issue a little bit more, the degree to which she could have potentially been a victim, which leads people to believe that either she wasn't actually there the day of, or they knew these things were something of a ploy to exacerbate or distract from the events of January 6th, or to be the catalyst for the events of January 6th, but the break into the Capitol building took hold, so they no longer needed this excuse here, so they didn't quietly just, whisk that off.
I absolutely agree. Like, these people bank on outcomes. You know what I mean? We discussed this week, Tim Walz, he thought he was going to be the next vice president of the United States. He didn't see the whole thing that's coming to him this week, all right? And then the same thing, bombs, both sides that could be disregarded, but it's a perfect out if they need them. You know what I mean? They photograph everything. They have all the evidence. And it's just funny, the timing. 5 years later, statute of limitations. Now we know everything about it. I want to, this is kind of sidebar, but they caught the guy because of his sneakers, all right? The model is the Nike Air Max.
That's so funny. I was looking at your computer and saw you looking up sneakers, and I was like, is he shopping for shoes during the podcast?
No, they're a limited, I say limited print. They only made like 22,000 of these.
This is kind of bizarre. I don't know if you guys are familiar with StockX.
I'm not.
No.
All right, StockX, like if you want a particular model from a year, like usually the sneakers are worth something, you will buy them there. Like, cause most, like the sneaker market is disgusting. Like when you have a nice pair of sneakers that drops, people buy all of the stock, they put it there, they save them.
Oh, wow, okay. Like you can buy Jordan 3s.
You can buy
Like
Jordan 3.
1989.
The aftermarket for those shoes is wild, and
It's
the
wild.
lineups when they drop at these exclusive stores that sell them.
If you go to this particular model, like they have a price graph, all right? And it was stuck from May 4th. It was stuck at $70. That's
May 4th of what year?
of this year
Okay.
at retail. After the news broke, it doubled in price to $154. So people are looking for them again
As of this morning?
as of this morning.
Oh shit, we should buy some now.
We should
and
buy
sell
some
them
now.
on. Oh well, they'll probably jump the price up. All right, so they identified the guy by the shoes. Have we named the suspect yet?
He has been named as Brian Cole, but hold on, I do want to get back to how they identified him based on the shoes, because we knew the person had those shoes. I remember tweeting about it at the time. Not that hard to find who bought these shoes, because they only made 22,500, give or take.
Limited run.
But then, they can be sold at off market or places where there's going to be no real trace of transaction. What was the connection to the shoes to the guy? Brian Cole from Virginia is the suspect named by police, so I guess people feel more comfortable naming this guy right now.
Yeah, according to the New York Post, says sources within the police department that took Brian Cole into custody confirmed his identity as the person suspected of planting the pipe bombs. That's according to the New York Post. What are the odds? What are the odds that the guy that they arrest for this incident and his alleged involvement into it, they arrest him at his home in Virginia, which is also home to Langley, which is where the CIA's headquarters are. Does anyone think that it's illegal? There's 50 states in the United States of America. What are the odds that the guy was arrested in the same state that has CIA headquarters and is also very close in proximity to D.C.?
They could have arrested him in any state, and I would still think it was a CIA operation, because
All right, that's fair.
we'll talk about later, the CIA and their psychological operations and everything, they're everywhere. That's not a secret, but this operation has reeked of some sort of conspiracy for years, because this is the streets of Washington, D.C., the most heavily surveilled city on the planet, or at least one of them. At the headquarters
of the party, both of them.
Exactly.
And all that you have are single frame pixelated images.
Well,
that
on
the FBI
cameras that
released.
look like they haven't been updated since the 90s.
They had been
with
digitally-
known security sweeps on both sides.
And they were
with full teams.
even with all that,
sweeping.
they were still able to extrapolate out, okay, we know his shoes. We know what the guy was wearing. We know how tall he is, allegedly. So I'm interested to see is Brian Cole 5'7"? Because they said the suspect is about 5'7". But you know who was 5'7"? The woman that Steve Baker identified in his article for The Blaze, who then went on to, I believe she was seen shooting pepper rounds into the crowd on January 6th.
The individual that Steve Baker identified as potentially being the suspect based on gait analysis, whether or not that identification is accurate, the woman was, in fact, Capitol Police officer, in fact, shooting rubber bullets in a manner that had been described by experts as being...
And I believe now works for the CIA.
And now works for the CIA as campus security.
Not the most reputable of news sources, the Hindustan Times.
They do great work.
They have identified Brian Cole as 30 years old, a resident of Woodbridge, Virginia. What I put in, how far is Woodbridge, Virginia from Langley? It's actually 25.7 miles, 32-minute drive. So, that would be think about it. When you have a job, you don't want to have a long commute. Normally, people try and aim within a 30 to 40-minute drive. This guy is right in proximity to Langley headquarters.
Is there an image? And have they identified whether or not he's 5'7"? Because one thing I've learned from having moved to America, everybody's taller than 5'7" out here. Every man, I should say. I'm like, 5'5" and a half, 5'6" on a good day, and everybody is a good 6 inches taller than me.
Maybe something might be able to help you. Could you pull up the FLB ones quickly, if you don't mind? This is a chance to do a quick
Speaking of limited edition shoes.
Yes.
Go on.
So check this out. We launched these shoes. They're very comfortable. They're handmade in Italy. They're amazing footwear. They're the FLB ones. They're available at vtmerch.com. They're a great shoe. I was gifted a pair of these shoes. Pat asked me, how do you like the shoes? And I was honest with him. I said, Pat, I know this doesn't mean a lot for you. The comfort's very good. They're very comfortable. But Pat's tall. He's like 6. How tall is Pat?
6'2"? He's got to be 6.
Like 6'5".
6'7".
So he doesn't understand this, but for me and you, Viva, these shoes add a ½ inch to an inch of height. I went from looking up to my wife to looking eye to eye with my wife when I was wearing them. I said, that is the biggest selling point for these shoes, is we can give you the gift of height. If you buy the FLB ones this Christmas, the gift of height could be yours.
Yeah, and then they're going to take a picture of you and say, this is Robert De Niro wearing platforms to get an extra 4 inches.
I think
we also have the Ron DeSantis special shoes that add an extra 3 to 6 inches to your height.
But I think at least they did their research. If they said he was 5'11", I would have called it bullshit because nobody's 5'11".
It doesn't match his. They don't list his height in here. All they've listed is 30 years old, resident of Woodbridge, Virginia. So he would have been 25 at the time that he planted.
No
these
social media
bombs.
footprint. No social. We'll see. Look, we'll see about
That
it.
is odd because most people between 25 and 30 are on every single
Well,
social media.
I'm
X, Instagram.
I'm hypothesizing because as of now, I imagine
I can't find it.
Well, the name like Brian Cole is sufficiently generic. You're going to pull up a lot of
Yes,
people named Brian Cole.
when you put it in, Brian J. Cole, a surgeon in Oak Park, Illinois, is the first person that shows up. I feel bad for that guy because all day people are going to be like, "Oh, it's the pipe bomber." No, was he my surgeon?
Well, think about the Jeffrey Epstein who gave money to Lee Zeldin.
Yes.
It's like it's a completely different guy.
I don't think that he should wear it. I don't think the story is going to get traction like on the national level. Have you seen it everywhere?
I saw it.
yeah.
I saw it on Fox, but here's what's weird. Normally, when stories break, I'll get a few alerts on my phone from New York Post, from Daily Mail, a bunch of different outlets. No alerts this morning. I only found this story because I went on looking for stories for tomorrow's PBD podcast. I'm like, wait a minute, this broke at 8:30 and it was 9:15. I'm like, and no one here had known. And we're in 18 different group chats where we talk about news.
I
Nobody had
knew
saw
of this immediately because I've been following the story. I've had on a guy named Kyle Seraphin, who's an FBI whistleblower.
I'm aware of who- yeah.
I've had.
He's
Steve
been on
Baker
PBD before.
Yeah, they're good guys. They've been. Steve Baker put out the story, and I said it was a compelling story.
He actually said something.
Steve Baker?
Yeah.
Not
Well-
yet. Not yet. Not since the publication.
Well, hold on. So Steve Baker and Kyle Seraphin are like the two most vocal people about the pipe bombing case, among other things.
FBI chicanery at large.
Which I guess goes to show what happens because they're being sued by Alexis Wilkins. Those are the two people that cash.
No, not Steve Baker.
Steve Steve
No,
Baker's
Steve-
being targeted with the lawsuit, I believe.
By allegedly, though, from what I understand, there hasn't been any letter of demand or lawsuit from the woman that he identified. Kyle Seraphin's being sued by Alexis.
Not by the woman they identified as the pipe bomber, but Kash Patel's girlfriend is going after all of them for the Mossad
Baker?
honeypot claim. Yes,
I thought it was Kyle Seraphin, Elijah
Steve Baker
Schaefer,
was listed in some of the declarations, even though Elijah Schaefer and Kyle Seraphin
and
are
Sam Parker.
The
That
ones
was the
she's
other
going
one
after.
that was-
Steve Baker's last post on X was last night yesterday afternoon at 12:53 p.m. and it was about the January 6th pipe bombing. In case you're wondering why there has been no action in our series of stories revealing knowledge and complicity by certain Capitol Police actors in the January 6th pipe bombing conspiracy, and he quotes, "They are being completely steamrolled by the Comey Ray zealots they've promoted." So he has not issued a statement regarding the arrest of the suspect, but it only is a few hours old. It's only 2-3 hours old.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna need some. What's amazing is that rarely do you get two diametrically opposed theories that are, I say, equally plausible. We don't know what the details are yet of Brian Cole. Steve Baker's story, whether you agree with it or not, was sufficiently fleshed out and evidenced based on a theory of gate analysis, which is recognized by intelligence. You got now the FBI. Timing-wise, it's a wild coincidence. It coincides with the Steve Baker story. It's also, not so wild that it coincides with statute of limitations. They're saying someone else. Now, we don't know if there's any relation. And if it turns out that Steve Baker was out in left field, his analysis was just wrong, it's going to be interesting. But the one thing is, people will be sufficiently skeptical based on the lack of transparency that we've had that they might never believe the official narrative, and they might always still believe Steve Baker.
And
That's
you
a
were
very
correct.
good
I
point.
was getting Sam Parker and Steve Baker confused, but you can see the problem with the people who are most vocal about trying to bring transparency to the FBI on subjects like the pipe bombing case are being targeted with lawsuits from the FBI and their affiliates.
Because the last theory I was on board with the lady and the gate analysis and everything. Then I see this evidence that we have pictures and everything. We have a suspect ish, because is it a suspect? I don't know.
They've called him a
person of
suspect.
interest.
No, they've called him a suspect. He's been arrested, I believe.
So they call him a suspect. And it makes me think about a third theory. Like, it could be the official narrative. Like, it could be an anarchist. Like, if I put a bomb here on the Republican and a bomb on the Democrat side, maybe he wanted anarchy. I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to...
Is it not plausible
Well,
that it's one crazy guy?
Thinking out loud, have we heard one shred of evidence of anarchists being involved in the insurrection of January 6th in the last 5 years?
No.
So now 5 years later, an anarchist group that we had not yet known about was involved in terrorist attack on January 6th, and for 5 years we haven't seen one lick of evidence. What I'm thinking, I still think, what would it take to convince me that this is correct? If they find the shoes in his apartment, well, holy crap, there's 22,000 of those shoes
What are
out
the
there.
odds that this guy? But what are the odds that if he would hold on to
That's-
those
well,
shoes,
that's
knowing how highly publicized it was, that's what.
And also,
If you want a
crack-
patsy and you want your orgy of
Yeah.
evidence like you had a minority report, you're going to have the shoes in his place. You're going to have like leftover clippings of the bomb 5 years later. I want to know what the evidence is. I'm very skeptical.
Does it make it more credible or less credible? The shoes
If
are
they
there.
have the shoes, I would say, holy shit, that's
the
more
fact that some of
credible.
the
Coincidence.
so it's less
FBI
credible.
I would be very skeptical that he would
wow.
retain the shoes after
I didn't
5
even know
years.
anymore.
I've seen analysts, though, go over the fact that the bombs discovered outside the buildings are constructed to the exact specifications of the ones they use to train FBI agents on how to disarm homemade bombs. So it's like they just went to the FBI supply closet, got out the bombs they were using for training, and dropped them outside of the DNC. So these things need to be explained. Of like, either this guy knew how to make a bomb according to FBI specifications, or he got the bomb from them. But you can't just gloss over that.
It's wild. It took 5 years, and only now. I mean, it's just, what was the break? What was the break in the last month to 6 months? Like there had to have been something that says, oh, there was an anarchist group that we knew about or that we just discovered in looking over the FBI's file that they didn't look into. And if the old FBI didn't look into this guy and the anarchist group, despite having had the evidence, why not? Were they using that anarchist
People have
group?
been doing inquiries into this for years. They pinged cell phone data. They were looking at cameras in the surrounding area. Then every couple months, some independent journalist
Looking
would
at
make
the
a couple
pictures, he
claims
was so
about it.
casual about
Yeah.
it. Like, if you have an explosive device in your bag, you're in the middle of DC, you were just strolling around, or like that's why you can't.
Yeah, I'd be careful not to have them bumping
Right?
next to one another. I'd place it down very carefully, unless you knew that there was. Were they actually deemed bombs that could have gone off?
We have
I
been
know
told.
that without
We've
the
been
timer.
told that they were viable.
Yeah.
They were
Okay,
viable,
they
but-
did say that in
Yeah,
the
But
arrest
they
report.
could not have gone off unless the timers were set. But even then,
No,
you're afraid of
that's-
jostling the timer in your backpack, and then oh, I accidentally set it to 30 seconds, and then it blew me up.
I've seen enough MacGyvers to know that those things can go off at any time.
All right, I want to move on, but before we do, let's wrap up. I want everybody's opinion. Do we believe that Brian Cole, 30 years old of, what is it, Woodbridge?
Langley, Virginia.
Do we believe, A, he was involved, and B, did he act alone, Viva?
Right now, I'm very, very skeptical, and I would say that if he's involved, it's by way of some sort of group conspiracy. But I'm not believing that they just now discovered 5 years later that there was evidence of anarchists involved in January 6th, and it had never been disclosed or investigated by the past FBI or the current until now.
Connor, and then Humberto, I'll give you final word.
I will withhold final judgment pending more evidence, but right now I'm inclined to believe that no, this is not the full story here.
Humberto.
I'm 100% with the CIA.
As in CIA did
it?
No, this is an official narrative. It looks good.
So they've got the guy.
Yeah.
He will be brought to
And
justice.
this-
He'll admit it. They'll find the shoes in his apartment. all the
1,000%. And we're
bombshells
gonna
and-
see justice served.
Okay.
Like very
They're
soon.
going to come and say, "Oh, we found an eyelash of his twisted in the
And it's-
capsule of
they're
the."
amazing. They're amazing. Forget about it. This is a wrap.
Got to protect that work visa somehow, buddy.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's go. All right, let's move on to the next story. So the next story, new evidence or not so new evidence in the Jeffrey Epstein case. There is, I'm going to use air quotes for the term, new footage that has been released by congressional Democrats that have released previously unseen photographs from Jeffrey Epstein's Little St. James Island. Images show a dentist-style chair surrounded by theatrical masks mounted on a wall. There's a photo of it there.
Stop.
That's odd.
Enhance that one on the upper left.
Let's see if I can do
Is
that.
that Walt Disney? What is that?
I've got-
Enhance. This one?
Is that Ted Cruz?
What is up with the nose?
Well,
I think you know what's up with the nose, Viva.
Well, shit. Now I'm canceled. What is up with that? That looks like a bird's beak mask type thing, straight out of Eyes Wide Shut.
But I mean, you look at
It
some.
could be Walt Disney.
It's really blurry, but like, is that a mustache on that one?
that's Adolf Hitler, quite clearly.
are,
I
so
see Mussolini.
are-
I see Mussolini on the bottom left.
are they supposed to be historical?
Is that Kramer?
Is the upper left one Obama? That one looks like Obama.
It
right
does
there.
look like Obama, and the one below it kind of looks like me.
Rob, something
I
you want
have
to tell
never
us?
been to Epstein's Island.
Can
I
we
just want to make that
disagree?
clear.
This is
have been to
freaking
the
terrifying.
ranch.
This is
creepy.
this is
It's
straight out of The
creepy.
Hills Have Eyes or
Yeah.
The Human Centipede.
It's just so all of it's odd. The masks are odd. Why does he have a dental chair in there? It doesn't look like there's any.
Is that a folded up massage table in the back behind the dentist chair?
That looks like what it is. Do we know that that's it? I was going to make a terrible joke that might not even be a joke.
I mean, this could be the room where it happened, you know?
Well, when you look at, all right, can we go through some more of the photographs?
Yes.
Additional pictures depict a steam room
Stop.
stocked with towels and pillows.
Why is it blacked out on the screen?
Yeah,
Sorry.
this is an important point here because these were released by Democrats in the House Oversight Committee, as Rob just said. And they redacted certain little bits of information.
But when
on
this
these.
originally came out, which you'll do the, who originally found this
Yeah,
footage?
as it turns out, James O'Keefe put out at least the majority of these photos quite a while ago.
Shut up. It says power and deception on the
Look-
screen.
look
That's
here.
an orgy of evidence.
Well, like even in the Time magazine reporting,
The committee described the initial group of images it released on Wednesday as never before seen. But at least some of them were released in May by right-wing political activist James O'Keefe, the founder of Project Veritas.
May I highlight just something that's relevant about that? The fact that they were never seen by Democrats is exactly why these idiots need to get out of their information silo. They don't want to look at the right-wing guys like James O'Keefe, and so they're utterly ignorant and proven to be gosh-forsaken morons in terms of what they think is new information that's been out there for months.
So the Oversight Committee puts this tweet out. Democrats are there is in response to James O'Keefe. So
Yeah.
James O'Keefe writes, actually, O'Keefe Media broke these photos in May. We're going to be asking Oversight Dems for a retraction. The Oversight Committee then responds to James O'Keefe's text. Democrats are chasing headlines again. Oversight Dems rush to release cherry-picked docs provided by the committee, slapped on the phrases never before seen, and the legacy media ran with it as if it were breaking news. They are not serious about this investigation. Very interesting.
so here's what was redacted in that. See, O'Keefe
Oh, that's great.
has
Good
them
work,
watermarked.
Connor.
The same photos of the phone, same photos of the blackboard, and what he says on the board that they blurred out.
Can we zoom in?
Oh, yeah, one. I think it
Is
says
that
Donald
pot-
Trump on the bottom, doesn't it?
It says, if you're talking right here, it says dank brain,
Oh, okay, fine. Sorry.
according to O'Keefe, which none of this seems like something that should be redacted.
What does the top one say?
Did-
Axiom.
So plants, power, deception. Man, he's got terrible handwriting for a pedophile. You'd think you'd have better handwriting. That way you can trick the young kids with your
He used to
love
be
letters.
He used to be a teacher.
Oh, that's right. At the Dalton School
No,
with
yeah,
no
if you back-
background.
School,
If
yeah,
you
with
back,
no
I
background.
guarantee. I wonder if they redacted it so that you would suspect that it said things that it didn't underneath from afar. I mean, they could have been smart about it and blurred it so that the bottom one looked like it says Donald Trump if they really wanted to try to get Trump involved. Because
Yeah.
it starts with a D and looks like.
What about the names that are blacked out on the phone? Do you know those?
Yes. So there's what was blacked out.
New York City office. The next one, White House. What does it
So
say
down
down
there-
below?
Karina.
Karina. Oh, okay.
Don't know who that is. Darren Sell, Rich Office, Mike Sell, Anna Sell, Patrick Sell.
Oh shoot! Well, I gotta cover that.
Larry. Interesting. Larry Summers.
Larry Silverstein.
Very interesting. So, what does that one say above that? Secretary Office.
STC
See,
office.
this is why I go, how can we not have any of the people that are listed in Jeffrey Epstein's speed dial? Why are we not at least putting those people in front of the House Oversight Committee and having hearings as to their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, why they were in his phone? Like, these people exist. They're still alive. Why do we not talk to them?
I got a breakthrough. Karina, you really think it's Karina Shuliak? She was Jeffrey Epstein's last girlfriend. She was a Belarusian dentist. Interesting.
Whoa, and they
All
had the
right.
dentist chair in the house.
And it was referred to Jeffrey Epstein's last girlfriend. She reportedly was the last person he spoke to by phone before his death in 2019.
Wow, what if his girl... Okay,
Why
this
is
is
it
crazy.
censored, Rob?
Well, when you're trying to... Okay, I've watched a lot of murder shows. Normally, how do they identify bodies that they
Teeth.
find? Teeth and fingerprints. So the guy has a dentist chair on his pedophile island where he's raping these children who we've never known exist because we don't know where they are today. We know where a handful of them are. But according to Pam Bondi, thousands of hours of footage of Jeffrey Epstein raping underage children. She's the one that said that. And the only reason she even came clean with that was because James O'Keefe and O'Keefe Media Group caught her on camera at a lunch talking about that footage. And then they forced the White House to come out and make that announcement. So It's very odd that you'd have a dentist chair on your pedophile island. Your girlfriend's a dentist. If you wanted to make people disappear, and if there were any remains to be found, the best way to do it, remove those teeth. Well, now you have the tools and the know-how to do it.
But also, go back to that dentist picture one. Do you guys remember the lore of Frazzle Drip?
Yes.
That there was
unfortunately.
One of the rumors was that one of the stories was that there was a doctor in the room while they were administering meds to someone surrounded by people. I mean, just for one second, and where they allegedly removed their faces.
Okay.
I mean, what are we looking at right here? If I'm putting two and two together, if I never known the lore of Frazzle Drip, which I'm not saying I believe, but that literally looks like what they literally described as the room of Frazzle Drip.
Did they? I know they demolished his Palm Beach mansion. We don't know. I know that the Zorro Ranch still exists. I believe somebody else bought it. Whatever happened to the island? Did they destroy everything on the island?
No, because, I mean, they just did a walkthrough video of it.
No, but they released the walkthrough video.
Yeah.
When did they film the walkthrough video?
That I'm not sure of, but I know that there has not been any destruction of the island
Wasn't it on the last episode of MTV Cribs? They're inside Epstein Island, bada bing, bada boom.
I thought I saw a video of that, but I think it was AI.
Yeah.
There was
let's roll this video while we're talking about it. And
you imagine the horrors that I don't allegedly
Yes.
and likely took place here.
Also a great view. I don't want to discredit that. Terrible things to see, but what an amazing view!
And they're
of the
using
water,
they're
the
using
beach.
the Florida Keys coral as the base stone. There, you can tell based on the fossils.
It'd be so cool to have my own island. I just wouldn't rape kids on it. That's where I draw. I mean, I do fun stuff, but none of it would involve illegal activities with minors.
That's the problem. You got to do the kid stuff in order to get the island.
Damn. It's not worth the trade-off.
This looks like this is where they have the shows at night. It's the amphitheater where they have the human sacrifice.
If they were to do some type of ritual, that looks like an amazing ritual place. What a, wow!
I mean, it's kind of amazing because you don't.
Is that the temple?
No, because the temple has the dome.
So the
on
temple's
top
all the way in the. I had no idea the island was that big. Weren't there reports that there were secret tunnels throughout to go connect all of the different houses?
It's been alleged. I haven't seen any concrete evidence of it, but it wouldn't surprise me.
It's more mountainous than what we're used to in Florida. But
all right, it was sold in 2023 for roughly $60 million. All right, it has not been fully demolished. There's some of the structures and original buildings in the island, and they think there's plans to develop an eco luxury resort in the island. Who's gonna go to that resort? I don't know.
I mean, again, it's got great views, but what happened there was heinous. These are the no trespassing signs that were posted around the island. What else is
Violators will be prostituted.
Too soon.
Just photos of inside the rooms where...
That seems like nice decor. Terrible crimes have happened there, but a nice tub.
Chairs and tables.
His and her mirrors, so that's nice. Upgrade.
It's like an Airbnb for sordid degeneracy.
Would you, if they put this...
Never.
Fucked up.
I know where you're going with this.
If they were to put it on Airbnb where you could rent Epstein's Island and go for the week, none of you would be interested in going.
I'd be extremely interested.
Man, are you kidding me? That's what they should do. They should use Epstein's Island as an Airbnb. I'm telling you, every right-wing lunatic on the internet would reserve a weekend there.
They would have it so sanitized and walled off and monitored to make sure nobody found
I'd
anything.
go the opposite. If I owned the island, I would like take animal teeth and I'd leave those around.
Did you guys
see that?
You could bring a metal detector and see what you find on that island.
You know, Brandon and I used to have a theory about the property we're on right now because it's on Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport, which is where a lot of the stuff.
Thanks for doxing us, dude.
It's out there.
Sheesh.
Where Iran Contra got it all ran out of this airport. So we're like, hey, could we get Pat to fund us with some metal detectors and night vision equipment to like scan the whole thing, see if they, buried anything underneath here?
Oh, how crazy would it be if we dug deep enough and then we found, what was the union guy that went missing?
Al Capone. Al Capone.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah, Jimmy Hoffa was buried here. We had no idea.
Well, every time we had a CIA or intelligence guest here, open intelligence, because we don't know everybody, when they walk out, I always ask them, this was a Contra building. If you were to hide something for the feds, where will you hide it? And they sometimes look around. The last answer I got, what's the name of the everyday spy guy?
Andrew Bustamante.
All right, he said they will use walls and barrels like underneath it properly. That's where they will hide stuff.
Now they're digging stuff up out there. You know?
Well, we're building a wall, just like Trump. Build that wall. We're just not sure if it's to keep the bad people out or from us leaving.
Just to get back to this, the question I had is, what did the Democrats, assume that they were breaking photos and they were releasing them for the first time? What do they think that this shows? Like, I looked through this and I was like, all right, I mean, it shows nothing. The way they suggested that it was incriminating on somebody, so I'm looking through it to see how it can incriminate, Trump, because that's the only person they really want to tie to this. And okay, fine. So you got clean rooms on Epstein's pedophile island. And the lighting, by the way, in the corner there kind of looks like a cross.
That's what actually makes me really mad about the story. This is a point of contention. Like, they had this information and they're like slow dripping it because they deny it. Then we have it, then we don't have it. Then we're going to give it to you redacted. Like, what are we doing here? How much more is there out there?
Well, it's a good point. They thought that they had in their possession something that had not yet been released while they are voting for full disclosure on the Epstein files. Then they release it afterwards and say, ha ha, only to be told, ho ho, James O'Keefe already released this, you bunch of lying bastards.
Which shout out to James O'Keefe and O'Keefe Media Group, because those guys have been ahead of the curve on pretty much everything.
They beat the federal government at their own game.
Yeah.
They release these photos in May, and our government doesn't release them until December.
Even the Pam Bondi thing, though, like that recording of her saying, tens of thousands of hours of footage of Epstein with children, made her come out and do a press conference a couple days later. And that is like the single biggest nail in the coffin of the Trump DOJ right now, because they said it. They said it was all there. They said it was there to be found, and then had to come out and say, actually, we have nothing. Nothing exists. There's no evidence. Epstein only trafficked children for himself. Case closed. But this thing with the photo with the Democrats, it's just like what the Trump administration did with the binders with the influencers of, hey, brand new information, full disclosure. It's actually stuff that had been public for a very long time.
Like,
so
this is a big discussion in intelligence circles, is that they're not adapting fast enough to the new age of technology and communication. So they assume that people don't know a few things that they actually know. They assume they can hide things that people can actually find out. So it's very difficult to keep secrets right now.
They should just abolish the FBI and the CIA and turn it all over to 4chan, who would find everything within 48 hours.
Those guys are savages.
And even if they get it wrong, there would be other, what they call internet autists on 4chan to fact check the other people on 4chan who got it wrong. That's the ecosystem that it needs to live in. But no, you're got yesterday's technology today, or I think that's the expression that they use at the CIA.
Well, I guess we're no closer to an answer than we were before we started this segment, because the photos that were newly released were not newly released and released 6 months ago. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be any closer to the truth. I did see that Ghislaine Maxwell's attorneys have asked that she be released from prison. No word on if the Trump administration is even considering that. My biggest problem when it comes to every time Donald Trump is asked about pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, he never just says no. If he could just say no, that would end any speculation as to his involvement into her being moved to the cushy prison in Texas and his involvement with her altogether. But every time he's asked about it, he's like, well, I haven't really considered it yet. Just say no. That's all we want to hear. No, I'm not going to pardon the woman who helped the most prolific pedophile in human history.
You know what I'm thinking, like, out loud now? He just pardoned that, was it who was the
ex-Honduran president?
The Honduran president. So he pardoned him, and people are like, this is terrible. How can you blow up coke dealers while pardoning the big coke kingpin? And some people say, well, he's pardoning him because he's going to help with investigations, leak whatever. If the argument is, I could contemplate pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell if she outs everybody and provides evidence so that we can actually go after people, fine. That might be the only realm
but the American public would never be okay with that unless they aired those hearings on television.
Yeah, there would be a realm of the universe where, from a consequentialist perspective, people would say, fine, pardon the devil if it means we can get 12 more devils because her life has already been sufficiently destroyed, short of the death penalty.
But this is sort of the thing with the Trump pardons, that a lot of them don't make sense. Like, he also just pardoned Henry Cuellar the other day. It's like that guy seemed like he was completely guilty and is still pledging loyalty to the Democratic Party. So
who's Henry?
The Texas congressman who was indicted for
$100 million of fraud
and bribery. And like, they had him dead to rights, it seemed like, but Trump pardoned him. Then Cuellar comes out and reassures his fellow Democrats, don't worry, I'm still loyal to the Democrat ideals, even though Trump pardoned me. Okay, so then what did Trump get out of it? Or this guy he pardoned a few weeks ago, or more than a few weeks ago, The guy was rearrested a few weeks ago. Guy named Eli Weinstein, go figure, ran a Ponzi scheme years ago, was arrested. Trump pardoned him. Weinstein is now headed back to prison for another Ponzi scheme he ran during COVID, where he stole like a few $100 million. So a lot of the people who are getting out of prison on Trump pardons, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. Like after he let the January 6ers out, it's just sort of been signing things left and right.
Okay, well, a lot of people look at the pardoning of convicted drug, I don't even want to say lords, but people involved in drug smuggling, which a few of these people have been, and people go, well, why is Trump going and demolishing these drug boats in Venezuela or the waters off of Venezuela, but pardoning these people? But I don't think the Venezuelan strikes have anything to do with drugs. I think it's all about oil. I think they are the number one. They have 600 billion barrels of oil. I forget what the number was. I'll go back and find it. I just did a Connect with a guy about this, but where he was laying out, he's like, hey, this isn't just about drugs. It's so much more about the oil and the amount of oil that is flowing from Venezuela to China and also to Russia.
Regime change in Venezuela.
Yeah, that's what this is about.
It's not even that.
And that's a much easier thing to sell. Hey, we're going to go after these narco terrorists because they are harming American youth by introducing fentanyl into our country. More people are going to be on board with, yes, we must do that, than, hey, we're going to send our own children to war in Venezuela to overthrow the government and take control of their oil.
And it's not just they don't like Maduro. They don't, and Maduro's a bad guy, but we don't support regime change wars unnecessarily. But the entire global establishment has rallied around Corina Maria Machado, who, like, she's the appointed person they want to take over. This is a woman who openly ran a puppet campaign in the last election.
She's not real.
Yeah, who was the guy who ran against Maduro technically? Was it Jose something? I've forgotten, but everyone in the world knew that this guy was just a cutout for Machado who could not run. And he was declared the lawful winner by the United States and other countries. And now everyone wants Machado to take Maduro's place. I'd be very interested to hear...
Edmundo Gonzalez.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'd be very interested to hear what her position is on giving the United States access to Venezuelan oil.
I don't want to dive deep into this, but I agree. I don't think it's getting oil. It's oil denial. At the same time...
So not taking their reserves, but stopping their oil from going to other countries.
The thing is that the biggest allies is China and Russia, and they get a lot of oil from them. Mm-hmm. If we're going to start making global moves, you want to deny oil from going to them because they have a tight relationship with Saudi, so they can stop the flow there. And if you don't have oils, you don't have ships, you don't have planes.
Well, I think
at the same time, we can't overlook the drug thing because it's a very real problem. Those guys run thousands and thousands of tons of drugs.
The only problem is they're not running fentanyl, they're running cocaine, and they're running it arguably not just to the U.S., but potentially to Europe. But I do think there's a lot of people who feel that the strikes on the boats are pretextual for getting to some form of regime change in Venezuela for other reasons. But the other thing is we'll see about the ultimate legality of those strikes in due course. This has been
working as a deterrent for all drug trafficking. That is sending a very powerful message.
850,000 to 910,000 barrels of oil a day Venezuela is currently producing. So where does that even rank among all of them?
The thing is, even under Biden, Chevron and all the big ones, they have all the deals in place. It's nothing new. They're already operating there at full capacity.
Yeah, they're recognized as the largest oil reserve in the world, totaling 300 billion barrels of oil as of January 1, 2014.
But it's not good oil either. It needs a lot of refinement. It's not the best quality of oil. For example, in Saudi, that's the best oil you can get. You put a straw and you get oil out. This is another type of oil. It's very rough oil.
Okay. All right, well, we got to pivot to a different story. This one was trending all over the internet yesterday, and it's continuing into today. Candace Owens versus TPUSA. It appears that a challenge has been issued by TPUSA, and that challenge has been accepted by Candace Owens. Turning Point USA has publicly invited Candace Owens to a live, unscripted debate. This comes after months. We're approaching the 3-month anniversary of Charlie Kirk's execution, so we're a quarter of the year has been spent by Candace Owens talking about Charlie's death. Obviously, everybody knows she had a relationship with Charlie. Their friendship is questionable when you listen to the Turning Point USA side of things, When you listen to Candace Owens' side of things, they seem to be friends. I understand we're going to lose some viewers. How many did we lose? We lost subscribers. It's very rare that these channels lose subscribers. And in the history, 4 years of being here, there's only 2 times that I know that we've lost subscribers on episodes. The one was PBD Podcast, where we interviewed Benjamin Netanyahu. We lost like 300 subscribers. And then Unusual Suspects, when we covered Candace Owens, I believe it was last week or the week before.
Yeah,
where we lost like 18.
No, we lost about 100 subscribers across all of it.
In fairness, you might have noticed some correlation in time frame, but they do bot cleansing every now and again on YouTube, where there's just a drop for no good reason. Interviewing Netanyahu on PBD, I could see that resulting in a loss of viewers. Covering Candace, I don't think that.
No, I mean, honestly,
they really don't
go back and read and I break the cardinal rule of YouTube content creation. I read comments because I'm always interested to see what our audience likes and doesn't like. Mostly, they're just insulting Humberto and saying Rob is short and
it's true.
Saying I'm an idiot who doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Do they call me the DJ in the chat on the Unusuals?
Sometimes, usually it's
sons of bitches.
There's angry Canadians who are saying you don't know what's going on in Canada, you're a traitor to your country and all that stuff. And this is why most people shouldn't read the comments. But a lot of people were furious about how we talked about Candace Owens last week. But you know what? I rewatched the episode. I stand behind it. I said what I said. We are now a week out. Candace has presented no concrete evidence for France and Israel trying to kill her.
And the government has not released any information to my knowledge as well, right? The federal government, she said the federal government has been given the information that she was given about the assassination attempt by the French Legion. However, I've not seen a single government official come out and confirm receipt of that information or any type of investigation. Have you guys?
We haven't seen anything yet.
Threats are so subjective, and anyways, whatever. Whether or not I don't believe, but look, you give too much attention to some of the stories, thus legitimize the stories, and there's a lot of people out there who would love to believe those stories regardless, and they can never be disproven because the reason for the silence is going to be because they can't comment on these things. It would cause an international incident.
As I said, if the Trump administration comes out and says, yeah, we believe all of this, there is an attempt by the French Foreign Legion to assassinate Candace Owens, then great, she's right. If the Trump administration says nothing, or if they say this is false, there is no evidence, then she comes out and says, they're part of the cover-up, there's still an assassination plot against me. It's unfalsifiable. It is not something that you can disprove because she has made herself unassailable on this subject by dismissing all evidence against her.
Well, there's been a lot. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Well, there's been a lot of takes when it comes to Candace Owens, specifically with the French connection, but also with Charlie Kirk's killing. Here is a take from our own network. This is Adam Sosnick on the PBD podcast. The reason we're playing this is because Candace played it and responded, and I'd love to hear your takes on what Adam says about Candace Owens. Go ahead and play it.
So then she goes to war against Turning Point USA. Then she literally starts questioning the integrity of Erica Kirk. I'm sorry. This is the exact opposite of how a friend operates. That to me is the most disgusting thing. Forget about what she said about Israel and Jews and BLM and liberals. This is friendship stuff. This is friendship stuff. The most valuable currency you have are the relationships you have, your friends. In my opinion, she's burned every bridge she's ever been associated with. Whether that's Turning Point USA, whether that's the Daily Wire, whether that's PragerU, Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder. I don't know what's going on even in this room, but it's not like we're loving what she's doing these days. I'm asking you a serious question. Who are her friends at this point?
Oh,
to me, she's very lonely.
No, I think she's very close with Tucker. I do think she has a group
How many
of
more
friends.
can you name, though? Because she's losing people like Tim Pool. She's
thinking
losing
of the
people like Steven Crowder, who's
Adam, what's
calling
your
her
point?
out. He called her a evil CU next Tuesday.
I don't think...
That is the clip that Candace cut and also played on her show. I was interested in the angle of her famous friends. Does anybody here give any credence to that part? Because I am not a Candace Owens watcher. I respect what she does. I think she's a very good, and Pat said this as well, she's a very good communicator. She has the gift of gab. She's really great at content creation. I don't know how great she is at investigating things, but I can tell you my wife buys everything that this woman says, hook, line, and sinker. And we get off the podcast and we're getting ridiculed for our takes on Candace Owens. I walk in the door and then I start getting screamed at because of Adam's takes. And I go, that's where I draw the line. I am not going to be screamed at because of him. I think it was a shitty take in my opinion. I don't think there's a lot of conversations that happen behind closed doors that aren't publicly seen that you don't know about. So you don't know who Candace Owens is talking to behind closed doors. Why does it matter who she's friends with?
That was what I was going to say. Is like, what is it? It's a popularity contest. So that somehow, if you have more people who within a community that you don't necessarily want to even be friends with some of these people, that's a sign of success or credibility. I consider myself to have very few friends. I don't think people hate me, but that's a sign of nothing other than who thinks who is cooler than whom. When it comes to Candace, I take flack for not shitting on her because I don't have a serious problem with her. My substantive critique of a lot of her statements are they're not unverifiable, they're undisprovable. And when she says, that's it, I now know that Charlie Kirk was betrayed. That could be as simple as at the end of the day, and she'll go hang her hat on that. He was betrayed because security clearly failed. And that's a betrayal. I mean, if they say it's safe to go out there, we've got that roof covered, or we're told that they've got that roof covered, and it wasn't covered, that's a form of betrayal. To go one step further and say that he was killed for his political views, first of all, I mean, I can understand it, and I can understand the argument, especially when you have Netanyahu saying, oh, now Charlie Kirk can't come and take the trip to Israel, when I think we all understand he didn't want to take that trip to Israel.
Yep.
And that looks like it's a misrepresentation by Bibi's part, which is going to confirm a lot of people's suspicion here. But yeah, so like a lot of what she says is sort of like the, not fortune teller, but palm readers. It can't be disproven, oh, you've had great trauma in your life. Yeah, everyone has. So, but that being said, she does put on a good show. I think her reporting on Macron was good, whether or not you believe it. It was still pretty well fleshed out. And I don't think she's as much of a nutbag as a lot of other people think that she is.
One thing I'd like for all of you guys, we've seen the clip. We don't need to play it, but the clip of Ben Shapiro talking about stop asking questions. You shouldn't be asking questions. You're not allowed to ask questions under the guise of people who are just asking questions ultimately have an ulterior motive. Does anybody here have a problem with her investigating this and asking questions? The whole reason why I love the internet is because I can go out and seek information that I'm looking for. If it's 9/11 Revisited on X, by the way, fantastic account. If you love 9/11, weird thing to say, but if you enjoy reading about 9/11, 9/11 Revisionists on X, fantastic. They put out new videos every single day. I like being able to watch people who are asking questions. It's critical thinking. It makes me go, I wish this existed when Kennedy was shot. I wish this existed when 9/11 happened. I wish we were able to have these conversations during COVID. The technology existed, but every time you try to talk about it, they deplatform you, demonetize you, and silence you. So for me, it's like, I have no problem with her going out and asking questions. If I don't like it, I'll just not watch it. I'll just move on with my life. But there's people like this who they'll watch it, then they get angry, then they have to comment about it, and then they're angry that she's commenting about it. Then they get angry that they're spending their time commenting on about it. I'm like, hey, just let the woman create content and do investigations. If it turns out Israel did it, if it turns out France did it, if it turns out Egypt did it, great. Let's get the answer. And if we don't, who gives a shit?
But
Who is she hurting?
on the Ben Shapiro point,
No, wait. I don't want to miss my chance to jump on Adam's take. All right? Like, I was waiting for this moment all my life.
By jump, do you mean dump?
A dump. I don't know. Maybe it can go either way. First of all, full disclosure, like, he has his opinion. Sometimes they're trash takes, but he has a big heart, Adam. He's a good person, like deep inside him. I know he's a good person. But let's say people that have a lot of famous friends that are pieces of shit. Like, for example, Amy Schumer, all right? She's loved in Hollywood. She has all the famous friends. We know she's a piece of shit. Who else? Brie Larson. Remember the whole Brie Larson? She's loved in Hollywood. Harvey Weinstein, he had a lot of friends, a lot of famous friends.
Bill Cosby was America's dad.
He was America's dad.
It is a good point that you can judge someone by the friends that they have, but I think you can judge them more effectively by the enemies that they have.
Yeah. If it's all about clout chasing and how many big names you can bring to your argument, then fine. The Adams take makes sense from that argument if it's all about clout and appearance. But since when does having the support of famous people decide what's true or not? Because I can show you all of Hollywood, all the most famous people in the world rallied around the fact that surgically and medically, a boy can absolutely become a girl in every way that matters. And that is absolutely untrue. So you have more famous people rallied behind a false thing, something that is verifiably false. So it's not actually about how many famous people you bring to the discussion. It's about what's true. And the other point is that, yeah, she doesn't have a lot of her friendships out there, but you know who else is in her corner? In addition to Tucker Carlson, you got Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire, who's godfather to one of her children. You have Brett Cooper, who's spoken up about Candace multiple times and maintains a friendship with her. You have a lot of other people in the media space. They might not be the ones Adam would look at and say they're legitimate, but then again, look at the list of who Adam thinks is legitimate, and it's reason to throw out the whole argument.
Well, there's that old expression: if you run into one bad driver in the morning, you know that person's the bad driver. If you run into 5 by lunch, you're the bad driver. I can appreciate some people's arguments that if you end up getting into bitter fights with everyone that you've been associated with publicly by way of employment, people can draw some negative inferences from that. That being said, some people are just meant to be self-employed because they are strong-willed, determined people. When it comes to her coverage of Charlie Kirk, the bottom line is this: you can't disregard the text messages, what Charlie Kirk was saying about pressure from lobbyists, donors, etc. Two things can be true at the same time, and two things can happen at the same time. My bottom line issue is anybody who thinks Israel was behind the assassination, what's your evidence other than text messages and discourse that occurred at the same time to disprove not the FBI narrative, but the only evidence that we have to date that that guy, what's his face, was the shooter, and he was a member of some online Discord of furries. So when Ian Carroll came out the day of and said Israel just shot their best, just shot Charlie Kirk dead, I was like, all right, I appreciate people think it. It's a good, an understandable instinctive reaction given history of assassinations by Israel. But what's the evidence other than I'm putting two things that happened at the same time together to draw the conclusion?
That's what I wanted to say on the Ben Shapiro thing, because it is ridiculous for him to say stop asking questions. I get what he was trying to say, because there is a game being played here of throw out a bunch of big claims backed by very little evidence, and then as soon as there is criticism, respond with, "Oh, I'm not making claims. I'm just asking questions."
People are saying is
Exactly.
the same thing.
It's the
He's
same
not
thing
saying
I
it.
heard.
People are.
Yeah.
But the problem is when he says that, typically he has sufficient
yes.
information.
So
He
what
knows
happened
why he's
was
asking it.
Candace, in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk dying, as soon as she came back and started doing her show, was making at least oblique references to the fact that Israel was implicated in it. Because the first thing she started talking about was, what's up with the timing of Netanyahu saying all this? Why is there this push? She starts leaking text messages.
Those are fine questions to ask.
Those are real questions to ask. But as soon as it says, hey, Candace, are you suggesting that Israel killed Charlie Kirk? She runs behind, I never said Israel had anything to do with the death of Charlie Kirk. I'm just asking questions. Okay, well, if you're saying you're investigating the death of Charlie Kirk, you bring up a bunch of Israel-related stuff, and then people, including most of your fans, because if you go check the comments section on anything that criticizes her, they're all saying it for her. Why will she not stand up and say, I believe Israel killed Charlie Kirk? Same thing with all her claims about Erica, where she's analyzing Erica's odd behavior and hyping up all these things about why is she being weird on stage? This statement doesn't make sense. Her behavior isn't consistent with that of a grieving widow. Then as soon as people say, hey, are you suggesting that Erica might have been involved in her husband's death? I never said Erica had anything to do with it. She's told no discernible lies. Okay, great. But all your fans are making that connection for you. Everyone who is speaking on your behalf has made that connection.
Does it
you
work?
are being intellectually dishonest if you say that that is not what your suggestion was.
I actually had to take a screenshot because it was on Tuesday. She was live. 185,000 people watching her live. So it does work. All right. Now,
I can't. We had numbers similar to that, but it was during the presidential election. So election night was when we had numbers like that. So yeah, there's definitely a market for what she's doing, and there's definitely interest from the public. I agree with what you're saying when it comes to people use that as a defense. So I understand why Ben Shapiro had those thoughts. I don't know if I would express those thoughts. Anytime you start to suppress free speech, I have a problem.
Please
not
keep
just that-
asking questions. It's important to ask questions.
Yeah.
Nobody should stop you from asking questions. But when you ask questions, you have to be asking them with purpose, and you have to stand behind your convictions that lead you to ask them.
but there's also malintentioned questions. Like I was at a leadership meeting, and I had a few questions in the back of my head. I was like, if I throw this question in there, it's over. You know, like things will go up in light. But back onto the original topic of her going on Turning Point. And this is a very good, like very rare, very good Adam point. All right. Remember what he said about what's his name? Nick Fuentes going on to all this podcasts and being listened and heard of and having the conversations that it kind of neutralized this very toxic aspect, according to some people, of Nick Fuentes. Like, I think her going there and having an open and free conversation, I think will help heal the right a little bit. That's my take on it.
I just want to say one thing. I don't think anybody should be held to account for the statements of their followers or supporters, because you can have a lot of bad faith supporters who deliberately go in and misrepresent or do things to sabotage. Look what the creator did. Look what their followers are saying. When it comes to the just asking questions, I don't care if anybody thinks you're asking an anti-Semitically loaded question. It doesn't matter. Your intentions behind the question is not someone's out to answering it. So whether or not you think Tucker Carlson is Qatar funded, you got to answer his questions on the substance of it without attacking his intention, thinking you get to get out of answering those questions. When people say it to Candace, she's not just asking questions, she's making accusations. Congrats, you're evading an answer right now. Just answer the bloody question and don't go after her intentions as to why she's asking it.
So there needs to be evidence for claims, and I appreciate that Candace is out there asking questions about the death of Charlie Kirk. More people should be doing it. And if we're now 3 months away and people seem to be moving on from it, that's ridiculous.
Do you need to have evidence for questions?
If you're going to hold yourself out as an investigator, yes.
Okay.
If you are an impartial commentator or someone far removed from the situation, no. The burden of proof is significantly different, because I also get flack every time I bring it up. I think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. I think he had a lot of help. I think there are some things that don't add up. But based on every bit of evidence that has been put forward so far, it points to that.
Do you believe he acted alone, though?
I believe he had help from probably a significantly well-funded, well-resourced network of radicals online that pushed him to it, helped him plan the whole thing out.
Are you a Fed, Connor?
No, let me finish the point. Let me finish the point here. I think it's important to continue to question that narrative, because there's things that there's holes in it that should be addressed. But you can't just discount all the evidence and then provide nothing else in its place. So when I say the reason they've identified Tyler Robinson is because they say they found his fingerprints and DNA on the rifle.
They say? So you believe the FBI?
And he's a Fed. If you were going to say that was planted, all right, then what's the alternative? What narrative is in place for the FBI planting all this evidence and railroading an innocent person or someone who doesn't even exist as the patsy for this shooting?
I'll tell you this.
Put something up there.
Well, I'll put it out there. You want to blame Israel? Okay. You can do it based on the facts right now. He was a furry into transgenderism. Who were some of the most influential figures in the transgender movement?
I know nothing about this.
Well, I can give you a hint. They might be of a certain religion. And then if you want to go and attribute it to that, you'll make your Israel connection. A lot of Jews behind transgenderism. Therefore, it's somehow some form of psyop. If you want to get there. The bottom line is, I'm with Connor here. I believe that this was a group of radicals on Discord. I believe that others were involved. I believe that the feds might have known or had some inkling. The timing of this guy's radicalization coincides with Thomas Crooks, both of whom now have some sort of ties to this furry transgender ideology.
Which feds? So the federal government under Trump?
No, back in 2020 when Butler occurred. 2020.
Well, yeah, but no, I'm talking about Tyler Robinson, because you said that you believe that the federal government may have had foreknowledge but didn't act.
Because he was radicalized, they said about a year ago, which is roughly the same time Thomas Crooks took his shot.
So he's radicalized in 2024. The federal government's aware that information doesn't get passed along in 2025 with the new regime change under Trump?
It doesn't get passed along. They don't discover it. Or when they do, then it becomes a source of embarrassment and a source of, something else. This is my own very, very
it's the
personal
the entrenched people who outlast administrations.
There's if it's true that Thomas Crooks was on YouTube putting up threats to specific politicians, and was not
Well, it
investigated.
seems like it when you look at Tucker's deep dive
Absolutely,
into it.
and then you don't have much of a comment from this current FBI. Then the question becomes, does it become a source of embarrassment for incompetence that this guy was on the previous radar and they either knew and didn't do anything, and this administration is, maybe getting around to it. But to me, there's zero chance that they had a Discord where they were talking about it. People posting, something big is going to happen at Utah. You have a group of ideological extreme weirdos. That nobody knew about it in advance, and that this somehow evaded all form of authorities. I'm skeptical, given what they can get.
Tyler Robinson didn't act alone. Tyler Robinson didn't act alone. What do you believe happened on September 10th?
Just for the big transcript, I believe everything the FBI says.
Okay. Shake your. Well, okay. They can't see head shakes. Shake your head up and down. Yes, if you believe it was Tyler Robinson.
Yeah,
Shake your head up and down, yes, if you believe he acted alone. Okay. All right. I am with all of you. I believe Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. If there was any other government involved, Tyler Robinson would not be alive right now. Tyler Robinson was on the run for almost 48 hours. That's 48 hours where if a government had set him up, that's 48 hours where they would have had time to track him down and eliminate him or make him disappear.
Or
there's no reason they would leave. That's like it's the exact reason why Jack Ruby shot Oswald.
No, but
you cannot have a living witness
No,
if
but
they're
Rob,
the patsy.
You might want that.
1000%.
You might want that living witness when that living witness is going to drive you to a group chat Discord of furries and not to the psyop individuals who infiltrated that group to manipulate them. So you might want that to be the place where the
So
fingers
then
are
we
gonna be
have
pointed.
somebody we can hold accountable, and then we hold accountable all of the people in the web, but not the people who fund or push
push
the
them to the
ideology
end.
towards the
Hypothetically,
web.
if there was an intelligence mole MK Ultra type, weaponization in that chat to radicalize or use someone who's already been radicalized,
Oh, man, we
you
hit
want
the
the
next
fingers
story.
pointing there.
Hence why there is reason to ask these questions. And this is why there needs to be a dialogue between Candace Owens and Turning Point, because it has gotten so confusing.
glad you brought that around. Go ahead.
It's gotten so confused where Candace comes out almost every week with some brand new thing. Sometimes it contradicts stuff she said in the past. So there is now not even a clear narrative to what she is saying. Turning Point has been consistent, but with a bunch of unanswered questions that maybe they're deferring to the FBI to investigate and they won't comment on an active investigation. Maybe they're covering something up. Maybe there's all these weird financial incentives. We need answers from both sides here, where Candace needs to come out and say, here is what I believe, here is my evidence for it. And there needs to be a counter argument from Turning Point that lets us have some sort of unity on it.
And it looks like that's going to happen. So this is from Raw Story yesterday. Turning Point challenges Candace Owens to live debate on Charlie Kirk murder theories. We have the clip of Turning Point. This is, do we know his name? I forgot his name. I apologize.
Andrew?
No,
My
it's
fellow
not
bald
Andrew
brother.
Colvett. This is Blake Neff.
Blake Neff. I
producer.
saw he was on Twitter responding to Candace as well. But here he is, just a brief history of who Candace Owens has claimed over the course of the past 3 months was either involved, implicated, or caused the execution of Charlie Kirk.
We wanted to use this segment at the top of this hour to say something important, something very important. For the past 2.5 months, there is a topic that has flooded our Freedom inbox. It has been nonstop on social media, but which we have almost totally avoided on this show. You probably already know what I'm talking about, which shows just how ubiquitous it has been. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She's made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which she didn't, by the way. She doesn't work on campus events. Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job. She has claimed that foreign aircraft have followed Erica Kirk around the country and that Turning Point has lied about this happening. She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died. She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to ensure that he died. She has raised suspicions about the head of our technical team because he took an SD card out of a camera. She has spread absurd claims that Tyler Boyer, who we just had on the show, sexually abuses male interns. She has suggested that TPUSA faith-affiliated pastors, like theologian Frank Turek, who we'll have on in a moment, and Pastor Rob McCoy, are part of a military, quote, infiltration of Turning Point, either because they are veterans or because they have family members who are. Even if not everyone has been named specifically, though, Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone.
All right. And like there's the statement goes on for several more minutes. I recommend you go watch it if you haven't seen it yet.
It's a laundry list of things that she has.
And that's not even exhaustive. That's just what she accused Turning Point of.
Here's the problem. First of all, he has to make a segment called Neff Said. Neff Said. All right. Okay. The problem is that there are some things in there. That's what you call sort of like the spaghetti on the wall or the shotgun stuff where you list too many things in order to sort of get away from answering the ones that are legitimate. There are legitimate criticisms there as to this SD card. I mean, it's been addressed, but it's a legitimate thing to say, why on earth would they immediately take that out? They argue, we took it so no one else would steal it. We gave it to the FBI. They haven't. You can understand people are going to have thoughts about that. Whether or not it was an unusual event, I have also heard that, it was an unusually open event that had the exact same problems that Butler, Pennsylvania had in terms of rooftop, direct line of sight to him in an open area.
And there was conversations between Turning Point USA security and the campus security about securing the roof that Tyler Robinson ended up firing the fatal shot from if it was Tyler Robinson.
And then people are going to say, well, that's betrayal. Like, oh, they told us the roof was covered. Would competent security, or if you don't want to feel like you've been negligent, would you not go independently verify that roof has been covered despite what you've been told? I mean, this is literally life and death. Well, they told me the roof was covered. Yeah. Freaking university told me they got it.
And I'm not trying to say that Turning Point segment should be viewed as the definitive final word. That's true. Candace is a liar. That's not at all what I'm saying. I have no more reason to trust Blake Neff than I do Candace Owens. They are equally credible, equally questionable in my eyes at this point. That's why I think a dialogue needs to happen to try to give an answer to it, because some of those are completely spurious accusations that don't make any sense. Some of those are very real ones, like you said, the SD card. Somebody who jumps onto a camera and takes an SD card moments after the shots ring out, that's questionable. Now, it does make sense that you want to secure it before someone else takes it, because we saw a video in the aftermath after they had cleared everybody out of the scene. Some dudes jumped over the barrier and were stealing hats off the table and distributing them to people in the crowds.
Doing that.
All right, I want to get Humberto's opinion and input, but I also, because we are up against a hard out, I want to play this clip of Candace Owens responding to Turning Point USA, and then Humberto, I'd like you to weigh in, Connor, and Viva Frei, and then we'll wrap up.
I have to applaud that audacity. I have to applaud it. You do. You have to applaud it. These, excuse me here, but like, I'm trying not to swear. These men, okay, this company, these amazing lads over here have the audacity to accuse me of enriching myself when they were out there selling T-shirts, okay, of what Charlie died in to enrich themselves. Were they giving those T-shirts away for free at the Staples Centers? No, they were selling kit of what Charlie died in to the tune of $80 million+ that they made in the first 3 weeks, okay? They made their entire budget for the year in the first couple of weeks following Charlie's assassination. And they are attacking me with zero proof that I've made a single dollar off of Charlie's assassination. I did not sell a cup. I did not sell a mug, okay? All I did was do what I already do for a living, okay? I podcast and I investigate things. I investigate things that I feel passionate about. Sometimes it's Kamala's genealogy, when she's saying she wants to be the president and things aren't making sense, and I sense that she is lying. Sometimes it's Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds when they tried to destroy a man's life who's not even on my quote-unquote political team. Sometimes it's Brigitte and why we are colluding with nations to cover the obvious fact that Brigitte was born a male. And this time, it's personal and it's you. Do you want to know what all of these investigations have in common? Liars who lie and think that the public is too stupid to see through their lies. That is how we got into this, okay? I did not sell anything. You did that. You guys did that. You guys continued to do that. You guys wanted to just move on and to grift off of Charlie's legacy. I dedicated myself to figuring out who murdered him, so...
Yeah.
Don't you go on to say, name the place, name the time, we'll do this?
Yes.
So obviously this is looking like it's going to happen. You obviously have some strong input.
No, just like that's a dumb argument. It's a dumb argument. What does she expect Turning Point to do after the assassination? Just go bankrupt and fold up and close shop? People wanted those shirts because they wanted to be a part of the support of Charlie Kirk, and they wanted to buy the shirt that said freedom afterwards. People are going to donate even more vigorously to Turning Points in the wake of this. What happens afterwards, other than being normal business, and it is still normal business, unless you suggest it should go get killed with Charlie Kirk, it's a bad argument. Then for her to say, I'm not making any money off of it, while accusing them of, they're just running their own business model, which was soliciting donations and selling merch, but she's got a channel which is now dedicated to it.
So they're both just doing what they've done before.
Both just doing what they've done.
Changed.
And to suggest, the alternative is to suggest that Turning Points goes belly up with Charlie Kirk's assassination. Congrats, you give the shooter exactly what he wanted.
Connor, and then Humberto, your final words.
I agree. And like I said, I hope they have a conversation, and I hope that leads to a result, some actual clarity on it, and not her just going back to her own show and then listing all the things she thinks she should have said during that podcast or episode and then just didn't, which completely would, make a mess of the situation all over again. I don't know how she's enriching herself. I don't know how Turning Point's enriching themselves. They both have a lot of money. Like, let's not forget, this is a woman who's married to a British royalty. Like, it's not like Candace is hard up for cash. And
George, he's a really good guy.
Her show is now top ranked everywhere because of this.
It's streamed in my house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So every time Adam opens his dumb face and says something stupid, guess who gets yelled at for 45 minutes when he gets home?
So even if she's
if
she's not profiting off of it through merch sales, she's certainly getting a boost to her platform, which translates to more money. But this is why accusations thrown from one show to another aren't going to work long term. It's confusing people. It's messing up the investigation. It's dividing people when we had a rare moment of unity after Charlie died. And I hope they're able to have a conversation about it.
Humberto, final word.
I'm a really big boxing fan. I'm waiting for the main event. Like, this is what you expect from both sides, to talk it up. Let's see what happens.
I agree. So, well, thank you for watching and tuning into a very special Thursday episode of The Unusual Suspects, normally Tuesday at 6 p.m. If you have not done so already, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you get notified every time we do go live. You can find all of today's panelists. Their info will be in the description below. Humberto is on Manect, Connor is on Manect, and Viva is on Locals. Also, Viva, where can people find your show that you do with Barnes every week and all of your other info?
Barnes every week. For anybody who hates people who rag on Barnes, Barnes goes nuts on Candace every Sunday night, 6 o'clock, whenever we talk about Candace. And the chat goes crazy as well. Sunday night across all platforms and daily on Rumble at 3 o'clock.
And make sure you grab yourself the VT merch, the Angry Patriot collection, available at VTmerch.com. Pick yourself up some FLB ones as well. We will be back next week. Thank you to everybody in the back for making today's show happen. Thank you to Connor for working so hard to put everything together. Most importantly, thank you to the panelists for joining our show and you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. We will see you again next Tuesday, not Thursday, Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here on The Unusual Suspects.